We're picking back up from my previous video discussing my assumptions of the Bad Batch's timeline. This time I'll be talking about Season 2 and its passage of time. Of course, if you haven't already seen my video on Season 1, feel free to check that out, then come back for this one. Spoilers ahead. I sadly don't have an image for this, but during Season 2's release, the description listed it as taking place several months after the events of Season 1, so if we're going off of where I left off, which was about the first quarter of 18 BBY, that would place us at about a third of the way through 18 BBY. Clone Force 99 continues their mercenary work for Sid, eventually heading to Imperial-controlled Sereno, where they fail to acquire Count Dooku's war chest, and the revelation of their survival to Admiral Rampart. Sometime later, at least I think, Crosshair is cleared for active duty, revealing he was stranded on Kamino for 32 rotations before being rescued. I'd estimate that this season picks up about 3 months after Season 1's finale, so Crosshair may have spent about 2 months recuperating and healing up, similar to when he was injured on Bracca. Crosshair and Commander Cody's mission to Desix is interesting because by this point I'd expect the Empire to have already established operations on the outlying separatist systems, but maybe Desix was one that slipped through the cracks. The mission is a success and Desix is conquered, but Crosshair's faith in the Empire is put to the test by a lamenting Cody who goes AWOL. Crosshair is then reassigned and continues working under the Empire. The next set of 3 episodes, Faster, Entombed, and Tribe, are some that can be either weeks apart or days apart, but for simplicity's sake, I'll say this happens all within about a week. The duology of the Clone Conspiracy and Truth and Consequences happen a day apart from one another is my guess, where the Emperor uses the revelation of Rampart's attack on Kamino as a way to put blame on clones as a whole, ushering in the new age of Imperial Stormtroopers, and Clone Force 99 are a man down when Echo joins Rex's efforts to help the mistreated clones. The crossing and retrieval happen a short time, probably a couple days after the events on Coruscant, since the squad are really feeling the effects of Echo's departure. Our proper introduction to Mount Tantiss and its operations in Metamorphosis takes place shortly after the previous episode, as Clone Force 99 are not in favor of working with Sid any longer, with the assumption this is the first time they've spoken to her since the Marauder was stolen and retrieved. The squad encounter a clone of the Zillo beast and the Empire capture it. I wonder if this is the first successful clone of the Zillo since back in the Clone Wars. It has been a couple years since then. The Outpost gives us a good idea of the time between Season 1 and Season 2. Mayday explains to Crosshair that he's been assigned to Barton 4 for over a year protecting the Imperial cargo, which we will later learn is TK armor. Allow me to get into detail about this one. The TK armor was not introduced immediately into the military after the Empire was created, based on what we know. It took time for the actual training of new troopers and creation of facilities to come about. Going back to my previous video, if the cloning facilities remained active for a few months before Rampart began diverting funds, these funds likely started going toward the production of TK armor, weaponry, facilities, and beyond. If Mayday was protecting the cargo for over a year, he was protecting it months after the formation of the Empire. So we're well into 18 BBY by this point, of course judging by the system I've been going off of. So it's likely we're close to the end of 18 BBY. Back in part 1, I made the comparison of Order 66 happening around July to August. This episode would be taking place around October to November, probably more into November to give time for TK armor to be created back in very late 19 BBY. Crosshair bonds with Mayday, but his faith in the Empire is shattered when his brother is left to die, and he executes the officer in charge, being taken into custody in Mount Tantiss. Pabu, I feel, could actually be happening concurrently with the Outpost, funny enough. I think Clone Force 99 using Pabu as a safe haven for a short time before the events of Tipping Point work out well. Tipping Point happens very shortly after Pabu and the Outpost, probably a day. Echo rescues Hauser and a few clones, then retrieves data that he needs tech to decrypt, so he ventures to Pabu. Crosshair meets Hemlock for the first time, and given the importance of Nalisay's cooperation, I don't think Hemlock would take very long to speak with Crosshair about Omega, hence why I think it's about a day later. Crosshair sends an encoded message to the squad about the danger, but is recaptured and tortured. The Season 2 finale happens immediately after, with the squad learning about the Imperial Summit on Eriadu and head out. The mission to learn Crosshair's location fails, Tech plummets to an apparent death, Sid betrays the squad, and Omega is captured, leaving Clone Force 99 looking for her as she is taken to Tantiss. And there we have it. So to bring all of this information together, my estimation of where we are in the timeline by the end of Season 2 is at the tail end of 18 BBY. There were two very helpful pieces of information with this season. The first being when Rampart is exposed and Senator Chuchi mentions how it was months before Zapoka City's destruction that funds were diverted. The second being Mayday saying he's been stationed at the outpost for over a year, placing this season as over a year after Empire Day. Next, I'll be covering the Bad Batch Season 3, and at the time of recording, the season has yet to be finished, but judging by the 160 plus days worth of tallies on Omega's wall, it's worth considering that we're about 1/3 of the way through 17 BBY. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed these last two timeline discussion videos. I look forward to rounding out the trilogy with Season 3, though that might be quite a few weeks. As always, if you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, tap that notification bell, share all the fixes. Take care, stay awesome, and may the Force be with you.